Hello everyone, maisth here. Welcome back to the Human Character Tutorial series. In this part we'll be making the hands of the body that we have here, as well as understanding how to do it. As the process is quite simple, but making sure it works can be a little tricky. First things first, if you don't have the body up until this point, don't worry. You can either watch the tutorial for that specific part, or you can download the blend file that has the body model up until this part. I will leave those two things in the description. One last thing I want to mention is that this video doesn't have the screencast keys enabled. Now this was a mistake on my part of not realizing it, but don't worry, I'll be making sure that you know what I'm doing by commenting it or just putting it through text to know the tools that I'm using at the moment. Alright, let's get into it. Okay, so here we have the reference of the hand, as you can see, and we're gonna create a cylinder. And the reason as to why we're gonna create a cylinder is that a cylinder has the option to give us all the vertices that we need to join this hand to the arm once we join it. And in this case, I'm gonna change the vertices amount of this cylinder to 12, as you can see here. Now I'm gonna scale it down, and I'm also gonna rotate it around the x-axis. Okay, scale it down a bit and position it right to where the wrist should be. Now I'm gonna scale it a little bit down since the hand is not a perfect circle. It's kind of squash. And delete those faces as well. Okay, so here comes the fun part. I'm gonna extrude this part. I'm gonna put it right here to where the fingers are. Also scale it on the x-axis. Now, one important thing that we're gonna be doing here is using grid fill. So to use grid fill, go to face, then grid fill, and here an option will appear. Change the size to 2, and I'm gonna modify the offset. I'm gonna have them all be horizontal. Now we're gonna change these edges. I'm gonna scale them down on the x-axis so they are all aligned with each other. And I'm gonna position them in these parts of the fingers. This will make it so that when we extrude the fingers, it will all point to the right direction. Now we're gonna start modifying these vertices of the hand. The hand has a arc-like shape, so we're gonna make it similar to the arc shape that the hand has. Okay, something like that. Now we're gonna select these edges and we're gonna bevel them. This will make it so that this effect happens. Make sure to add another edge to the bevel. And the way to do this is by using your mouse wheel. So don't forget to do that. Now with that out of the way, we can select these faces right here and extrude them. There's our fingers. But before we continue, right click, enter into loop tools and select circle. I'm gonna change my proportional editing to normal and individual origins as well, and scale them a little bit. The adjustments you may need to do may be a little bit different to the ones I have to do here. Now I'm gonna position these faces on the fingers. And there it is. Now you see here that this finger right here, or at least the edges, are a little bit wonky. So I'm gonna move them a bit. I'm also gonna scale this part a little bit down. And now I'm gonna select this edge, I'm gonna bevel it, and I'm gonna move it up here. Pressing G 2 times will let you move it like this. Now take out the knife tool and cut these vertices that we have here. And the reason we are cutting them is because this bevel that we did in the space between the fingers created some endguns on this face. So with the knife tool, we're gonna make it a quad once again. So as you can see right here, we have fixed this. And I'm gonna select all the edges, I'm gonna pull them back a little bit, And now I'm also gonna add some edge loops around the fingers, something like this. And I'm gonna delete these edges right here. And once we do that, we will have this part as a loop. So if you select it, as you can see here, it's looping around the finger perfectly. So it's no longer a triangle or an angle. We're gonna add more edge loops around this part of the hand, and the reason is because we're gonna be adding a little bit more of geometry to this and also taking more on the shape of the reference that we have here. I'm also gonna be scaling it down a bit, so something like this. Now with that done, and we're gonna delete these edges because it affects the 12 vertices that we have on our hand. And we're gonna reduce the loop here. We're gonna create some poles that can pass around this area right here. This will make our topology clean, at least in this part of the hand, which is the upper area. So we're gonna use these edges to do that. And what we're gonna do is select the ones that we deleted them and join them with the ones that still exist in the hand, at least in that particular edge flow. So delete those edges and also delete these ones in the middle. Now you can see that we have an edge flow going around there. Now I'm gonna grab these vertices and start modifying the shape of this part of the hand. Make sure that proportional editing is on as well. Right now we're just modifying the general shape of some parts of the hand, like for example the fingers. Maybe I want them to be a little bit smaller, maybe I want them to be a little bit more bigger. This is just a creative decision at this point. You can make them however big or small you want, but I'm just experimenting here because I like my fingers to have a very specific measure. So now with that done, we're gonna start adding edge loops to the fingers to create the joints. In this case, I'm gonna add 2 edge loops to each finger. So make sure to do that. And another thing that we're gonna do is smoothing the entire hand. In this case, right click and smooth vertices. And there it is. Now the hand is a little bit more smooth. Now the other thing that we're gonna be doing is making the thumb. So select these 3 edges right here, move them a bit, and this will give us some space to create the area that's around this part of the thumb right here. So I'm gonna use actually 4 faces, at least on the vertical side. On the Z axis, I'm gonna be using 4 faces. On the Y axis, I'm gonna be using 3 faces. So something like this. Make sure to select it like this. Then I'm gonna extrude or insert a face, pull it right here, and also move these a little bit so they have a more round shape. And I'm gonna select the entire face. I'm gonna select this entire part and I'm gonna move it a bit. And here we're gonna go into scope mode. And the reason is scope mode has a nice tool that's called the smooth tool. It lets us smooth things in the geometry without adding into it. So for example, like this, I'm gonna lower the value a little bit and start smoothing out. This is a little bit more quicker than just smooth vertices, the tool that we've used in the last part. And this is a very specific use of this. So I'm gonna select these 4 faces right here. Make sure they are these ones. I'm gonna extrude and I'm gonna make the thumb. I'm gonna position it to where the reference is. I'm gonna change to my normal transform orientation and start scaling it a little bit. Now I'm just gonna move these vertices right here, these edges, with proportional editing, just to fit around the shape of the hand, just like this. I'm also gonna move this edge a little bit here. Remember, press G 2 times to move it around the face or around the edge flow that is there. Now I'm gonna use loop tools, make this a circle. And okay, that's taking more on the face of the thumb. Now I'm gonna add 2 edge loops. I'm gonna position them to, once again, fit the general shape of the reference. And these ones down here, these 2 edges right here, pull them down a little bit more messing around with the shape. At this point we're just messing around with the general shape of the thumb. We want to make sure it's quite good. I'm gonna select the entire thumb, smooth vertices, and it's looking more smooth. I'm gonna go into scope mode and use the smooth tool. So now we're done with the thumb, but we still need to fix this part of the edge loops that we added. If you remember, we added some edge loops to the fingers and we fixed this on the upper area of the hand, but we didn't do it on the lower part. So we're gonna select this one right here and join those vertices. Now I'm gonna delete those 2. And the reason why we waited is because this particular edge flow, this one will go straight into the thumb. So I'm gonna add an edge loop here around this part of the hand. I'm gonna connect it with J once again and take out the knife tool, connect those 2 right here and connect those 2 right into the edge that we added. And you can see now that we have an edge flow going around in the thumb. So with this edge that we added, I'm actually gonna scale it in the Y axis so it's perfectly aligned, something like that. And there it is. Now with that done, we can focus on the fingers, specifically this part. This vertex, we're gonna pull it a little bit to the face because a finger is not so pointy. And another thing is that we're gonna pull these 2 edges to give it the shape of the end of the finger. So do it like this, pull it down and move it a little bit up. Now we're gonna select these 2 edges in each finger and we're gonna bevel them and add another edge, so something like this. This will make it so that when we rig this, it's gonna be easier to deform. Now I'm gonna select this entire face and scale it down a little bit, maybe this part as well. So here I'm just messing around once again with the shape. Now I'm gonna do something that I really like to do, is to extrude these 4 faces in the upper area of the hand to create the knuckles. These are gonna be our knuckles, so we're gonna be able to see them in the hand itself. I'm gonna select all of them, smooth vertices. I'm gonna move them a little bit up, and also these pointy vertices in the middle, move it a little bit up as well. Pull out the smooth tool. Again, go into scope mode and smooth the general shape of the hand. So I'm modifying now this part of the thumb. The thumb has a general shape here that actually has a little bit more of meat, and we're trying to replicate that, as you can see here. We have pretty much made the hand. This is the finished product. We're not adding anything else. We're just gonna be modifying how it looks, how it feels, how much bigger this part is, maybe how much smaller some other area like the thumb of their fingers is. So this part's gonna be pretty chill, and I don't have much to comment here. I'm just using the general tools that we learned how to use already, like the smooth vertices, the smooth tool from scope mode. I'm selecting these edges right here so you can see to smooth them out a little bit. I want it to be a little bit more closer. So I'm actually gonna scale them a little bit. Just like this. Because I want them to be a little bit more closer. So I'm gonna select these edges on the joints of the fingers. I'm gonna move them up a bit, just a tiny bit, to give them that feeling that there's a joint there. And I'm actually gonna do the same here on the thumb. I'm gonna move the vertices a little bit, and I'm gonna add these 3 edge loops. Once again, you bevel these edges and add 3 edge loops. Gonna select this entire thumb and smooth vertices. Scale it a bit, maybe move it around, something like that. So at this point, the hand is pretty much done. It's just moving some parts to give it the general feeling that this is a hand, that it actually can be deformed. And using, once again, smooth vertices, the smooth tool I'm using here, just give it that extra step so that the hand actually looks quite good. I'm gonna select these faces, and I'm actually gonna move the fingers a little bit down. I want them to be not perfectly aligned, not perfectly straight. I don't want them to be perfectly straight. So I'm gonna move them a bit, just like that. Okay, and I'm also gonna move a little bit of the upper area here around the knuckles. So I'm gonna select every finger. I'm gonna increment this to a certain point, to here, and I'm actually gonna rotate it a bit. And the reason is that I don't want the fingers to be perfectly straight. I want it to have a little angle. This will actually help us when we deform this in a rig, so it actually acts more natural. And while the rotation works, I'm actually gonna move these vertices a little bit up with proportional editing, so they have a little bit more of meat. Gonna move this up the thumb as well. I did the smooth vertices on the thumb, so that little vertices there move a bit. And I'm actually gonna move these edges on the lower part of the fingers a little bit. I sort of like how it looks like that little style. And there it is. So this is the shape of the hand. This is the final product, pretty much. Just a little bit modifying on the shape and some edges, the knuckles. But at this point, you're free to do whatever you want with the shape of the hand. You can modify it a bit. You can make it more chunky, maybe more smaller. So here I just added the subdivision modifier to see how it would look, and you can actually see that it's actually looking quite good. But since we're not using the subdivision modifier, I'm actually gonna take it out, and there's our finished product. There's our hand. Alright, that's it for this video. The hand is now complete. Now if you want to modify it a bit, maybe add some more things or change how it looks like, you are free to do so. As always, I will leave 2 links in the description, one containing the folder where you can download the blend file for this scene, be it the initial one or the final one, and another folder where you can download the other blend files from past videos. in case you need them as a backup or don't have them. Don't forget that if you need help, you can always comment down below in this video or even join up my Discord. Whatever the choice may be, I'll be happy to help you with anything related to the tutorial or 3D in general. So that's about it. Take care and I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.